Come to order, and we shall rise and say the pledge of allegiance to the North, as Walter reminds me.
That's what I was told, so.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless America.
Okay. Fire evacuation, you can either exit either door and walk toward the exit and or away from the building. Okay. Roll call, please.
Yes, Terrence Lynch.
Here.
Linda DeGray.
Here.
John Petrino is here. Frank Alemo.
Here.
Joseph Muley is absent. Kenneth Alinsky is absent. Vinnie Grillo, absent. Christian D'Antonio is absent. And Walter Crizel.
Here.
Okay. I will entertain a motion for the minutes of March 13th.
So moved. Second.
Any questions, concerns, corrections?
None.
Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We don't have a town attorney report. We don't have a zoning enforcement. And, okay.
Meeting, right?
Time. Hi. Public participation. Anyone in the audience who would like to come and speak before us?
Yes. Please and thank
It
you.
is not on our agenda. Just go ahead. Name and address, please.
Chris Marslick, 115 Parsons Road in Enfield.
Not on the agenda.
I'm not on the agenda.
Okay.
No,
So you're not speaking
I
on.
have two things I'm gonna talk about, one now and then one later when it comes up to the other.
Okay.
That's on the agenda.
Okay.
I am a property developer in and around town, and I just want to take a minute and talk about smaller lot sizes and smaller houses and how I think it's important. In a nutshell, I've been developing for about 10, 15 years now, and I've noticed in the last 5, 7 years, every house we buy, we've decided to downsize. I buy a 4-bedroom colonial, I put into a 3-bedroom with a master suite. 3-bedroom, I turned down to a 2-bedroom. The market is dictating that it wants smaller houses that are more manageable and more affordable and more user-friendly, so to speak. They just don't need the extra space. And whether it's families are downsizing, not having as many kids, divorce, whatever reason or statistic you want to throw out there, housing is just getting smaller and smaller. And I think in a town like Enfield, where we are a growing town and in areas still as far as youth and kids coming into this area and demographics changing, I do think having a not affordable housing, but a housing market that is market rate and average housing will be a benefit to the town and its residents. The only other thing on that is the tax benefit. On Parsons Road, I did a little look. I was looking to do some development on a lot I have across from my street. And I did a 500-foot abutment. I have 36 homes, 18 are under a quarter acre and 18 are over a quarter acre. If I were to do that same half-acre lot that I have and put 2 houses on that versus using it as a 1 house, the tax revenue would be about $3,000, $3,200 a year increase, just by using the average of the houses around me. So not only is there a benefit and a need, I think, for the market to have smaller housing and smaller lot sizes, I do think it would be a benefit to the town and actually raise some tax dollars and enable to build a few more houses that are more user-friendly and affordable for the residents. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else would you like to speak again? On this subject.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. For the last time, anyone else? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. There's no bond release. Continued public hearing, TH 3115VA, Mr. Secretary.
Yes, public hearing 3115ZA, application for text amendment proposing to modify section 4.10.2, solar foundation requirements, WE Acquisitions LLC applicant. This is still open, public hearing is still open and continued.
Yes, it's a continuation.
Madam Chair, for point of order, I did review and watch the last meeting's public hearing on this, so I will participate.
Great, thank you. Okay,
You have to seat the alternates.
yes, I do. Hold on. You're right. I have to remember what month it is.
Just a friendly reminder, that's all.
Okay, it's March, and I'm going to see Commissioner D'Antonio for the remainder of the meeting, and Commissioner Frizzell for the remainder of the meeting,
Thank you.
for the absent commissioners. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, applicant.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the commission, good evening. For the record, Carl Landolina, representing the applicant, WE Acquisitions LLC. I don't want to take up too much of your time. We did speak in more detail about this proposal last month, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to take the information we gleaned from your comments and to come back with something a little different. What we're proposing at this point is to create another exception to this section. The section requires full sellers essentially in all residential units. There is an exception now for units in what I would call planned communities, as long as they have garages. So what we've done is we've worked off of that current exception and created another one for manufactured homes, which would allow them to be built on slab type construction, and either a frost wall or other frost protection provisions of the state building code would apply. And anything that doesn't have a basement would need a garage or a storage building on site. And then when staff and I looked at the regulations, we found that there was no definition of manufactured homes. I'm sure that's going to be in your next.
It was already on it.
It was already, yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
So we're, I guess, adding it ahead of time. So that's the standard definition of a manufactured home. They're all approved by Department of Housing and Urban Development, and that's the homes that we intend to have delivered and constructed, installed, whatever, here in Enfield would meet those standards. So that's here, our proposal at this point. In its essence, I forgot to say I'm joined by Mr. DeSantos, whose face is on the wall 3 times here.
4 times, really.
4 times, I feel like I'm at a sports bar.
Guys for not being there in person. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So that's our proposal. Happy to entertain any questions that you or staff might have.
Right.
Like I said, I reviewed the last public hearing, and I know there was a lot of questions about construction, safety, how these are developed.
Mhm.
And I'm all curious about that too, but I think as planning and zoning, planning, I think we need to focus on, do we want something that's gonna look like this? There was questions about elevations and they're low to the ground, and I think that's more our purview. That's kind of what I'm looking at. Do we want to see, it's really the look, I mean, because the HUD has approval, as you stated here, what the definition of what these are. The building department would be involved in looking at the plans and the structure and the safety and the frost walls and all that falls under them. So I think what our job here is, do we give the okay or the opening? Is this something we want to consider, and you guys heard me say, based on our testimony tonight from our resident under public communications, I've been all about the last year, year and a half, all about smaller homes on smaller lots. I think some of you agreed with me. And I look at that too as an on-ramp for our younger people in town that want to get their first home, a starter home. I don't know what these are priced at, these slab construction, and I'm not sure, and I don't know if that's something we can talk about. But I don't know if, again, along with the smaller lots that I've been advocating for and smaller houses, I'm just wondering, if this would be kind of part of that when it comes under the consumer, and what we have available for housing in our town. Again, I think our hat is more planning and zoning, but back to planning. Do we want this look? Is it, and I think I heard a little bit about that at your last meeting when I reviewed it, but there was a lot of questions about structural and about safety and foundation, and I don't know if that's us. I mean, I don't know. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, just a couple of quick things. I don't have any problem with the way it's laid out. I think it answers some of the questions that we had last time as to whether we needed full basements or not. That was one of the big questions. Do we need a full basement? And the elevations were part of it, all of it was part of it. And one of the questions was about the frost line and what will we do there? And on this, it covers that. It says it's gotta be by state regulation, the frost line. And it was, one of the things that I brought up last time was, should we be looking at the slab houses, for lack of a better word, the slab houses as a zoning issue, or should we be looking at it as a building issue? And in my mind, it should be a building issue. It should not be a zoning issue. If we want to build single-family houses, build single-family houses. And we can get into the lot size and all that, but my thing is that if you're going to build single-family houses, build them. Who tells you how you can build them? You got to get a building permit. The building permit says what you need. So do we need that in our zoning regulation? Well, I don't think so, but that's my opinion. But from all we heard last time and this seems to compromise the discussion that we had last time. Because it says, okay, we're only going to allow it for the manufactured housing. We're not going to allow it just anywhere that, well, we're going to allow it anywhere, but we're not going to just allow it because somebody wants to make slab housing. We're going to allow it for manufactured housing, which is a specific type of housing that we're going to build. That's it. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't speak really much about it last time. I mean, I was in support of removing the section, to be honest. I get what the applicant's doing here, and I commend them for, addressing, feedback from the commission, from last meeting. I do agree, it's a building issue, not a zoning concern. I think there's been, it's something I'm seeing here with the text amendment, and just to kind of interact with the applicant, I saw they added a section about manufactured homes lacking a basement shall include a garage or other storage building, and I'll let them confirm this for me. But I mean, I think this is just kind of their compromise piece in terms of like, hey, we heard concern about storage, so let's try to address that. Does that?
Well, that was part of it, and the other part was that in the other exception you have for single-family dwellings, standalone dwellings in the multifamily housing district, you require a garage. So we thought that was something that the commission had shown a preference for. And again, I understand it's a text amendment and it goes town-wide. We're interested in our project, and to be honest with you, but and our projects are going to include garages. So we didn't feel it was compromise that, we were gonna die on that hill.
I mean, would you say that the market leans towards including garages in homes?
I would say yes.
Generally?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because, to the point about storage, storage came up as a concern, it really sounds like personal preference, and I think we're really pushing the envelope in terms of dictating personal preference in zoning, in terms of, hey, I like having a basement size. My house has a basement. It is super nice. It's super convenient. But at the same time, if I had a house, if I bought a house that didn't have a basement, I wouldn't have stuff to keep in the basement. I mean, it's, as per state law now, we can't require, a minimum living space, minimum square foot now for housing units. That's dictated by building code. So, I'm kind of thinking in the same lens of, why are we dictating how much storage any given person has to have at their house? I think it's kind of silly, and for pack rats who need the storage, by all means, go out and shop for a house that has a basement. But for people that don't need as much, or they want to save some money on housing, which is something that we should be concerned about from the planning thing, is, hey, let's let folks build cheaper housing so people can buy cheaper housing that, of course, still abides by modern fire and safety standards. Then by all means do it. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm in support of it as is. I was in support of it before, but I kind of just want to add a warning for us to keep in mind about where we're injecting personal preference into our zoning regulations. Sure.
Yeah, a couple of things. I'd like to propose that the house, they're going to be frost wall, so it won't be a slab on grade per se, but it'll be frost wall with a slab. That the finished floor elevation be a certain height above grade that would blend in with all the other houses basically in town, which are basically, they're about 2 or 3 steps to the stoop and 1 step in. So, you're talking about 28 inches to 30 inches, 32 inches above grade. Now, a couple of things. I see slab on grade houses in town, and I voiced this before, where they're like right on ground. And I think there was a resident who said that, oh, that's great, you just walk in. They look like a 2-car garage that was converted into a house. They're very low, they're very identifiable, but 99% of the houses in town are basements, and they're elevated, and that does a lot of things. It keeps the wood sill and the exterior walls of the house elevated above grade, where you got snow against it, rain coming down, splashing on it, and so forth. But aesthetically, it looks like the rest of the houses that may have basements. So that elevation with the concrete foundation elevated above grade, a couple of feet, and then with a front stoop on it and so forth. As far as the garage or storage, I mean, I would rather it say shall include a minimum 1-car garage. Storage, I think, is just something that we can strike. But I think better suited if we say that it shall have a garage. It's something we can discuss. I'd also like to have something in there that says any exterior oil tanks or propane tanks shall be screened. There's a house that's facing, or you can see it from Weymouth Road. That's a slab house. There's an oil tank. We all know what an oil tank looks like. They're the oval black tanks, and it's a 275-gallon tank. It's facing Weymouth Road, and those things are ugly. Like, propane tank is a round cylinder, not as bad looking, but this is an oil tank. It looks very odd, but it's sitting right outside facing Weymouth Road. Something like that, even the propane tank, but there should be a provision in there that it be screened. And I think we may have something in the zoning regulations for propane tanks anyway. I'm not positive, but,
I don't believe so.
no, but I think we should have that because, you know, if you don't have gas and you're gonna be doing some other means of heat and oil or whatever, if they're gonna do that as an option, you know, it should be screened. Any heating tanks of any kind should be screened with some sort of a fencing or whatever. Storage, Christian, Commissioner D'Antonio said a lot of good things about, should we be mandating that, who buys what and so forth, storage, that's the buyer's problem. I talked to a couple of home builders, over the last couple of weeks, and basically their sentiment was they would never build a spec house without a basement. They said it won't sell. People want basements, and I would have to agree with that. But there are some people that may want to build a house or buy a house, but as far as a builder building a spec home, he said he never would build one without a basement. He says because it'll sit there, it just wouldn't sell, and it's just not very desirable. I don't have any issue with getting rid of the provision or with this language. I concern myself with aesthetics, and I think that's what we're here about more so than anything rather than building codes and so forth. But aesthetically, if it were elevated above grade, it would look like 99% of the rest of the housing that's built in town. And it serves a lot of purposes, a lot of good purposes, environment control too, again, being elevated and so forth. But I'd like to ask if that's a consideration that the applicant could also accept. Now, when I looked at the photos of what they're going to be building, it seems like those photos that the houses are elevated, probably even more so than I, had said about 28 or 30 inches. But I think it's something I'd like to, discuss further. I'm good, thank you.
Welcome.
So back on his point, if we were to have them build the concrete up 28 inches, but have the doorway level to the ground, so not have any, because like the resident that came in at our last meeting said that we somehow we built them in the past because they exist. And they are, level to the ground. But if we made it aesthetically look like it was elevated, but at least give them the option of having a level entrance because, disabled people, it would help and all that too. So it would get away from, just a suggestion, I don't know. I mean, that's how when I built my shop, we put 4-foot walls up and the building's 4 foot high, but where the door is, it's ground level. But that's a business, it's a whole different ballgame, so.
Terrence?
Yeah, just one question for John. One of my thoughts was, as you were speaking, was the screening of the oil tank. If we put that into this particular regulation, would we not also have to put that into every homeowner's regulation, every regulation throughout the residential district? Okay, I just wanted to make sure we're going the same direction, because it just seemed like.
It would have to be all or none.
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
good.
To John, his expertise. So the frost wall and the trench wall, so what's is the frost wall the existing one has to go down 4 feet? Is that, what are they talking
Yeah,
about?
a frost wall's got to be.
This seems like,
3'6" minimum.
is that what they're using here? Is that the
That's
definition?
what they're proposing, I
That's the-
believe.
So 3'6".
Manufactured of slab type construction, is otherwise manufactured. But they're saying that it has to be built per the building codes and so
Right.
forth, which is a frost wall.
And that's 4 feet?
3'6".
3'6".
Yeah, so.
So 3'6" down.
And
And
maybe
then
2 feet above.
And then, so you're almost at a raised ranch foundation,
Well, yeah,
right?
essentially, but
But then it gets backfilled and then only several inches on top is poured.
again, if you drive around town, you see exposed concrete around the house.
Yeah.
That's, the exposure is about 18 to 24 inches. And then from that, your finished floor is usually up about another 10 inches above that or 8 inches above that.
Yeah.
Because of your structure of your floor structure sitting on top of the, on the foundation. So generally, you got about 2 or 3 steps to get to your stoop.
Yeah.
And then from your stoop, you got 1 step in. So, and that height to your finished floor is usually about, say an average of around 30 inches.
So getting back to the frost wall, at least we have the 3 foot or 4 foot frost wall. But the other part would have to do with the elevation would be how they backfill it too, right? So the aesthetic part. They're gonna go down, put we'll call it 4 feet, frost wall.
Yeah.
They're gonna fill it in, and then they're gonna pour concrete, maybe it's this 4-inch floor, I don't know what they use.
Yeah.
But then, when it's backfilled, we'll give the elevation. Or when they set the foundation as well, or?
It's backfilled about, 2 feet below the top of foundation.
Right, so we're gonna be down at least to 4, and then backfill up to the 2.
Yeah.
And then,
So leaving about, 1.5 to 2 feet of.
So the foundation would be 6 feet.
If I may,
Please.
so maybe Ted he knows more
That
about this.
I just have one more comment on, before
The
we.
houses well, you describe how the houses are actually set.
Like, before we go, can I just dovetail off what you were talking about, storage and garages? So I don't know what these, the regulations are gonna be on the height, but garages can be built a little higher and you could have a pull-down stairway and have a loft. So the person could have a garage and storage above.
Right.
Yeah.
Please.
Ted?
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to see product you have in mind. With regard to the finished floor, the nature of manufacturing is there always be
Ted, you're breaking up. Breaking up.
You're missing like half of your sentences.
Is this better?
Yes, thank you.
All right, I apologize. The nature of manufactured homes is they're all going to sit with a finished floor approximately.
Ted?
Not better.
No,
Ted, why don't you
Yep.
call me on my phone? And we'll put you on speaker. You have my cell phone?
I do.
Why don't we do that? Might be better.
Yeah.
If that's okay with you.
yeah, that's fine because we can't.
We're not, yeah,
Same thing.
and I'm gonna, at least you get half of what he says if.
Yeah.
We'll get the other half on your phone and half on this.
Yeah, but if you allow me to talk, then you're gonna get only about 5% of it.
Break out the coffee.
Or an adult beverage.
Yeah, I just felt my phone ring, so you didn't call me by accident.
No? Ted, did you call? Oh, he's probably.
He's off.
He's off, so I guess.
He's off, otherwise it'd be reverberation. Skipped reverberation.
Sorry.
I think a beat.
Because I have a couple of questions for him. So, when we get him on the phone.
I just wanted to throw out that storage thing, the possibility.
Well, on top of that, how many of these self-storage places did we just approve?
Market speaks.
Yeah.
I didn't have his phone with him.
Hello?
So could I just say
Sure.
something? So, when this first came in, we actually we have planning with
Santos. I can't take your call right now. Please leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
We have
Thanks very much.
planners list here. And basically it's all the planners in the state. We just ask questions.
Simply hang up.
And I asked the question, how many towns out there require basements? And not one of them responded that they had. I didn't get a lot of responses, but nobody said that they did.
Had foundation?
Yeah, requiring basements.
Oh, required, oh.
And nobody did. I know East Windsor doesn't, so. That was just from, 169 municipalities.
No.
I've heard of, well, maybe this is him.
He's trying to
He's
get.
back, AG?
No,
No,
TD.
TD.
TD?
AG is Alex.
Chad?
He's muted. Oh, there he is.
Hi,
Did you try to call me?
did not. Is this any better?
No.
No.
Carl, can you give me your,
Yeah, I just called your phone, 889, whatever that, the last four digits were. Left a message.
I didn't, give me- Carl?
860
Yep,
573
yep.
0394.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
You realize you're gonna get all of it.
Everybody knows how.
Now we're gonna call Carl.
It's not the first time I've had to do that.
Oh, he would change his number.
That's okay. The other day when you left me that number, you forgot one. And I was like,
Everybody's.
which number did he forget?
Okay.
Here we
I
go.
hope it's him. It's not the number I called.
Tell the A&B department upstairs to
Chad?
tweet that out.
Ted?
Can you hear me?
Yes, okay. All right.
You may want to put it here.
Yeah.
Put the center of the table.
So I apologize to everyone. The cell service is poor. So sorry to keep you waiting. What I wanted to say a moment ago is that the nature of manufactured homes that we're proposing is that the finished floor is always going to sit up above the slab by approximately 30 inches. So consistent with what's been talked about, it's going to look like any other home, that it's not going to be down level with the ground because of the way that the homes are constructed.
Well, that's great from my standpoint. I'd like to have, again, I'd like to have something in the language that, I know what your homes are gonna be doing, but other builders coming in with manufactured homes may have different ideas or different concepts too. And again, I'm just looking for aesthetics. We have 99% of our homes have that look, and I just want to kind of keep it. And again, a home that's built on grade as opposed to one with a basement or one like that, there's a big difference when you look at them next to one another.
And if I can clarify, because the manufactured home is built in a factory and assembled on a structure on I-beams, and what we're trying to do with the regulation is define this slab construction for specific to manufactured homes. But you can't build a manufactured home where the door sits flush with grade because of the way that they are constructed and delivered and supported on the site. It's not possible for it to sit down at grade. It always has to be up above the grade of the adjacent ground by about 30 inches.
Let me ask you this, if I may. The manufactured home comes in with a floor structure, or is it, meaning the 2x8 with plywood and so forth? And you had mentioned that there's I-beams and that it also sits on. So is that the type of construction, thereby creating a crawl space?
That's right. There is a conditioned crawl space underneath the finished floor.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what it addresses the concern that I've had, so, no issue there. So you're not, so the floor or the house is not really concrete, you're not walking on concrete, it's actually,
Wood,
it's actually wood.
then insulated underneath, I would imagine,
Yeah.
barrier, weather moist barrier.
And there's a skirt around it,
And there's a
so you're looking at
And
something
there's
that looks
plumbing
like,
underneath.
yeah.
You need to, yeah.
And just, Madam Chair, if I could add, is there, we talked about, I don't know if you heard before, about garages versus storage, both, whether it's separate. And I had mentioned when you were trying to call in, if it's possible to go a little higher with the garage and have a pull-down stair, so the person would have a loft if they didn't need if they didn't want an outdoor structure. So a combination garage storage, if you would.
That would be on the person who's buying it.
Right, I don't know if that can even do it.
Okay, so it's certainly possible. The garage will be stick-built construction, just like any other garage that you're familiar with. So it is not manufactured in a factory. The home is the manufactured home.
Garage will be built like we see today in our neighborhoods.
Yes.
So they could go, whatever the building may be, 30, I don't know what the footage is, top of my head. So it's possible to accommodate a loft space above a garage.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That would, I assume, Ted, that would be an option, the market,
Right.
driven by market and the buyer's choice. They could say, all I want is a one-car garage, so I want an oversized two-car garage because you're stick building it, and we can put some room upstairs. That would-
I'm not saying do it for free, I'm saying that as an option.
Yeah, right, because that would be like,
Yeah.
we talked about, the houses themselves come the way they come, but the garage is something.
So that gives people a lot of different choice there. That's kind of a good thing.
Okay, I do have some questions for Ted. Because I know that you're actually coming before us with this text change because you have another project in mind and you currently just want to do this one house. My question is these manufactured homes that you're proposing, if you go forth with your project, would they be able to have that option to have a full basement? Because I've been in manufactured homes with full basements, and in manufactured homes in Florida, yeah, they're on slab, well, they're not on slabs, but they have the crawl space. So would you help me with that?
So the answer is you can in fact construct a manufactured home with a basement.
Okay.
However, it detracts from the floor plan at the ground floor because you've got to make a place in the floor plan for the stairs and the door to penetrate down through the floor. It also requires a different type of cross beam support to allow the basement down below. So is it possible? Yes.
Okay.
The projects that we'd like to build in town, the premise for what Win Stanley Enterprises wants to do is to build homes that people can afford. And it speaks in part to the testimony during your public testimony portion of your meeting tonight. These are high quality, new construction homes built in a factory to a very high standard, regulated by the Federal Housing and Urban Development Department. You need a state license to sell these homes, 1,500 square feet, 3 bedrooms, and yet, our objective here is to bring these to market at a price that people can afford.
Okay.
So, we're trying to say that we do believe strongly that these homes will be, that they will sell, that they will be received very well in the market. They've done very well in Massachusetts. Just as an example, there are a number of these projects that have been built out, and they're very successful there without the basement.
All right, thank you. Okay. Anybody want to add anything before I open up to the public? Okay. Sir, name and address.
Chris Marshall again, 115 Parsons Road in Enfield. Just to talk about slabs a little bit, I hear everybody what they're saying, and I've got a couple things I just wanted to touch on. The slabs on grade are more accessible for people, and I think that is part of the appeal to building the slabs on grade, is because they are more accessible to elderly couples and such. It is less of a cost to build on slab than to build a garage. It's not a huge, but in trying to build a house that's more affordable for everybody, every little bit counts. I also think that the on slab regulation, as you're talking about, should not only be just for manufactured homes, it should be for stick-built homes and the such. I don't think it should be limited. The storage conversation, again, I don't know if that is really a zoning conversation as much, but I can understand the concerns, but I do think that's more of a buyer's choice. As far as the bottom portion, the slab is not looking the same as the rest of our houses, I understand where you're coming from with that, but there are several products and ways to address that and still get a look that may be preferable, even though the slab is sitting on grade. So there are some options there. That's it.
And Carl, is that
Was there somebody else on the list?
No.
Oh, that was the
We
last
already
time?
have, it's your time.
Okay. No, I guess we're finished. You know, we could accommodate all of the changes that you want us to make, apparently from what I've heard. That's entirely up to you. You know, that would work for us. I don't, you know, other builders and other such, you know, it may not work for them. And if you want to strike out at the end or other storage building and just end it at, shall include a garage, not a problem for us. Again, you know, how it might affect somebody else, I don't know. They're not here to tell us how it might affect them, but we'll leave that to you.
Anyone?
How about,
Go ahead.
and how about and/or, so they can do both? And or,
They can always do both.
You can always put a shed.
Oh, yeah,
but in case they want a garage and a shed,
right.
don't limit them.
No, we're not, just,
Oh,
but
you
it must,
You
no,
wouldn't
Kind of
have-
sounded like you were saying.
no, I'm saying it must at least include a garage.
Yeah.
The question is whether you need the garage or
Right.
not. I think
Right.
it's the question.
Right.
It's not the question of whether you want a storage shed or.
No, I just
whatever.
misunderstood the way it was saying it. I don't want to exclude somebody from having, say, I want a garage and I also want a shed.
Yeah, all of ours are gonna have garages.
With respect to the screening of any oil or propane tanks, I guess my question is to staff through the chair, but should we not consider this with this application, then you?
Yeah, it's,
Take
well,
that
it
up as a
wasn't
global?
discussed, it wasn't part of
Right.
the text amendment. It's kind of an aside thing. I mean, we could certainly look at it,
Down the road.
with our text amendments with the zoning
Yeah,
regulations.
because it should be a global thing, not
Yeah,
just
it should
specific
be
to
absolutely
this section.
global. Might I suggest a modification? So we would just say manufactured, I'm gonna read the paragraph and then add the modification. Manufactured homes may be built with slab-type construction. 100% of the floor area shall include a frost wall or otherwise meet frost protection provisions of the state building code. With the following requirements. A, manufactured homes lacking a basement shall include a garage or a one-car garage. And B, finished floor must sit at least 30 inches above grade.
At least a one-car garage. Right,
Include
at least.
at least.
Yeah.
A, one.
Can I make a recommendation just to give a little flexibility that
Perfect.
it would be a minimum of 28 inches? Because sometimes the adjacent grades and so forth, I think it would be wise to set it at 28.
Yes.
I don't know that much about buildings, so I'm good
I have
with
no, I have no issue with that.
it.
Would we notice the 2
That's
inches?
what's in my notes.
Right, great.
I know you had talked about that number before.
All right. Any other conversation?
I mean, I just,
Okay,
I guess.
Excuse me,
Do we,
excuse me.
Sure.
Go ahead, Christian. He did.
Okay.
ask, okay.
No, I mean, as far as the public comment, I mean, you know, we do still have, planning sessions for our zoning regulation overhaul. I
Yes.
mean, so it is, I mean, it could be worth kind of bringing up, you know, we have more information now coming from, you know, actual developers, you know, the value of benefit. I think we all probably did a lot more research on them compared to that first planning session where we kind of went in blind, you know, and Lori had proposed that to us and we were kind of like, eh. So what I'm saying is, you know, I think it's worth taking back and reconsidering, not just for manufactured homes. But I think it seems like we're all, generally agreeable about at least manufactured homes. So it's nice to
Karen?
see.
all right, you said for A, you wanted something, not wanted, but are suggesting,
Yeah.
at least a one-car garage?
So yes, so actually, we don't need to make these conditions, it could just be part of the wording. So manufactured homes lacking a basement shall include at least a 1-car garage. And then we take out the storage building requirement.
Okay,
And then, and finished floor must sit at least 28 inches above grade.
Technicality question, is it, I don't know, John, or maybe the applicant can ask, is it, like, if we were to say must require a garage, like, is there anything that you could build less than a 1-car garage?
A shed,
But would that be a garage?
No.
But like, is it just redundant for us to say 1-car garage?
At least.
well, because, so, no, it's at least
At least
a
a
1-car garage. So we're not saying you have to build a 2-car garage or a 3-car
Right,
garage.
but I'm saying if we
We're
just, like, if like the wording they had, you must build a garage.
Oh, yeah,
Doesn't that
that's
just
a good point, yeah,
leave it
I mean, good point, yeah, we don't
So
really
must-
need to say
must
at
include a
least.
garage?
Yeah, it must include a garage, and the
Is that-
garage has to fit a car,
Right.
so,
Like if-
Otherwise, it's not a garage.
Or otherwise, it's not a garage, right? I feel like that, like,
Yeah.
at least 1-car garage, I
Yeah,
think it's
I
just
agree.
like needlessly confusing wording.
I agree with that.
Unless
You
anyone
never
has
make a
any-
good lawyer. Worried about needlessly confusing language.
say that again.
Okay, I will entertain a motion if there's nothing else to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Okay, in favor, roll call please.
Okay,
Just close the public hearing.
yes, Linda DeGray,
Or,
Michael Limo. Terrence Lynch.
Four.
Christian D'Antonio. Walter Griselle. John Petronella is 4.
all right. So we've had a revision here. Manufactured homes may be built with slab construction. 100% of the floor area shall include a cross wall or otherwise meet cross protection provision of the state building code. Manufactured homes lacking a basement. And Christian did bring something up. What if I don't want a garage? Maybe I just want my house, and we have lots of houses here in town with no garages. And do we really, I know the applicant who came before us said, yeah, we're gonna build garages on our houses, which is a nice feature, but do we want to include that in this wording?
I think so. I think we can include the garage.
I'm just,
No, I'm just saying, you're asking.
this is discussion time, so.
I don't
Or
think,
should it say lacking a basement may include a garage? But, and the
Well,
word
then,
shall,
if you're gonna say may, then. there's
Right.
You don't need to have it.
I
right,
don't know that you need the garage piece in there at all.
I,
That would be a market solution,
that would,
or whatever.
that's, so them selling the houses.
Yeah, that's got nothing to do with us. I mean, I don't know how many years.
Take a show of hand vote whether the garage should be included or not.
Sure.
Will they be able to put a garage on it if we don't put it in?
Absolutely.
As long as they can still do it. I just don't wanna stop them from being able to put a garage on it.
I'm just saying you don't need that requirement
Okay.
Yeah,
to
let
build.
the market.
That would be my opinion.
Right, but if the answer is yes, they can still do it if they want, we're not stopping them by changing the
Right,
wording.
no.
I agree, that's fine with me, as long as they can still do the
The lot
garage.
size didn't dictate whether they could put a garage.
Right, right, that comes on,
Size
right,
coverage.
right.
Because we have to look at it, yes, this applicant is before us, but somebody else may want to come up and do a project. And they may not want to build their manufactured homes with garages.
I mean, if it comes down the line with like, I know, I don't think they're legally allowed in our current regulations, but with like tiny homes or things like that. I think a lot of those are manufactured. But at least not the custom built ones, but yeah, like those may not require a garage. So yeah, I'm in agreement. I think for flexibility
Yes.
reasons, I don't think we need to require it.
If we're
here.
talking starter homes for people to get their feet
Right.
into the market,
Mhm.
a garage may not be conducive. An additional cost to them because it is a stick build
Mhm.
as opposed to manufactured, so. John, you look like you had something.
No, I'm good.
So,
Tend to agree with Christian is coming up with. Yeah, let the market dictate that.
okay, so.
Sorry, I was
No,
just
go
gonna
ahead.
say, so are we going to take out the sentence saying manufactured homes lacking a basement shall include a garage entirely?
That's what
That
I'm.
would be my suggestion, yes.
Consensus
Okay,
is
I
yes.
just, for
Yes.
clarification.
So manufactured homes shall have a finished floor height of.
Finished floor.
Finished floor shall be 30 inches above grade, or
Alright.
28 inches above
28
grade.
inches.
Okay.
Finished floor must sit at least 28 inches above grade.
So,
And that's it. So basically, the change that we're doing is taking out that sentence
right,
regarding garages and storage buildings.
Is
And
it at
we're
least
adding,
or is it minimum 28?
it says at least. That's the wording I wrote down.
right, at least.
At least the minimum, say, mean a second?
Yes.
Okay.
Fine.
All right, any discussion from you? Then I'll entertain a motion. Secretary?
Yes, a motion. So, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve PH number 3115ZA, application to modify the basement regulations, section 4.10.2, to add a section eliminating the requirements for a basement with manufactured homes and add the definition of manufactured homes to the definition section. And I'll read the ad. Oh, boy.
So just
Okay.
just deleting the one sentence and adding the
Right,
other.
so we're gonna add the following to, it'd be 4.10.2, we'll be adding the following: manufacturers' homes shall be built or may be built with slab type construction. 100% of the floor area shall include frost wall or otherwise meet frost protection provisions of the state building code. Finished floor must sit at least 28 inches above grade. And the definition of manufactured homes as follows: a manufactured home is a home built in a factory and transported to a site and is regulated by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. Yes, that's what I was looking for. We have the findings here. In adopting this regulation, the commission has considered the plan of conservation and development, the POCD, and finds the amendment to be consistent with the POCD in that it will encourage and allow greater density and diversity of housing. The effective date published in the newspaper on March 29th, 2025. And this amendment shall be in effect on April 14th, 2025.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes, Linda DeGray,
Four.
Franco Limo,
4.
Terrence Lynch,
4.
Christian D'Antonio,
4.
Walter Griselle,
4.
and John Petrino is 4.
Okay. Thank you and good luck with your project.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate your being remote.
Invite us to the open house.
Yeah. Have fun on the rest of your vacation.
First one's on a middle road.
Okay.
That's what he
All
said, middle road.
right.
That's what he said, they have a lot
All
of.
right, public hearing, XVA 25-02.
Yes, the Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission will hold public hearings at their special meeting of Wednesday, March 26, 2025 at 7 p.m. at Town Hall Council Chambers, 840 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, concerning the following application.
Special development.
XZA number 25-02, applicant for a text amendment to change section 5.60, special requirements for a special development district, Town of Enfield applicant, SDD zone.
Okay. Hey, Lori, you're on.
All right, so first of all, I want you to realize that this is something that is being town-sponsored because there's a lot of not applications, but there's a lot of interest in a lot of our larger vacant and strange parcels. So we thought we could probably move on this faster than we are moving on the zoning regulations. So because it's town-sponsored, there is no time frame that we have to get this done. So I'm not anticipating that we're going to finish this tonight. But when we do change wording, we have to post it back in the town clerks and send it back to CROG 10 days prior. So 15 days prior from CROG and 10 days prior in the town clerks with the final wording. So just as a reminder to you, so our current SDD regulations basically are a little bit more constrictive. One, they don't allow residential development, or we had a question about that, if you recall, maybe with the Felician sisters, there was a question as to whether residential should have been included or not, because it had been. It starts with existing buildings with a gross floor area of 10,000 square feet or more, 5 acres. The buildings have to have had a vacancy rate of 80% and existing floor area for a continuous period of 24 months and so on and so forth. So just that's kind of the general gist of what we have currently. And we did utilize that with the Felician sisters. And then we also have a section in there, 5.60.4, that says, A, no new building shall be constructed within special development district until all existing structures have been fully rehabilitated elsewhere on the site. So that's pretty restrictive. And Don Poland, out of the goodness of his heart, created these regulations for us because he thought they would really fit and help the community. So what this will do is, in short, basically, you would have to come in with an application for a rezone to an SDD, but in with that would be the master plan. So basically, the master plan would be as conceptual as possible, and you would have a feel for what you would be getting as a final development. Now, once they come in automatically with the SDD rezone application, and then they have to come in by special use permit for the site plan approvals with all the engineering. So this might entail 1 lot, this might entail 20 lots. It just depends on what the initial project is. what we'd like from you is to just kind of make sure that you're on board with this concept, that, and you have a pretty good understanding as to where we're trying to go with this. One of the things is that if you have a concept plan, but you don't know exactly what you're going to be building, in other words, you don't know exactly who your tenants might be, would that be okay? Would you be okay with that, as long as they brought in, say, a concept plan of the whole development? And I could think of about 3 places that this could come into play. So, you know, the idea is to come in with that concept plan, but knowing that you're gonna have the uses that are proposed, the overall Vulcan area requirements and the overall parking requirements and things of that nature, but you may not see the actual elevations of the buildings because they're not sure which buildings are coming. So you may not have an application that has a theme, shall I say. You know, it's like, okay, well, we're gonna build, I don't know what, a New England town type development or something like that. But you may just have different variations of elevation drawings for the different uses. But, so I just kind of like, I just want to kind of bring this to your attention because this is something that we as staff have been talking about, and we want to make sure where you stand on this and, you know, what direction you'd like us to be going in. So basically the concept plan is could be illustrative, it could be incredibly detailed and accurate and final. It just depends on what the development is going to be. Let's see, so the procedure, once again, is so actually, I really like this. You would have a pre-application, the applicant must have a pre-application meeting with you as a commission. And it's just a conversation, nothing is set in stone, and you know, there's no agreements as to what's going to be approved and what is not approved, it's just a discussion. Again, it's a zone change to an SDD, and then the site plans would be per site. And the zone change application, again, with the master plan, will be submitted with or without the application for site plan.
Question, interrupt you right there, because
Yeah.
that's where I got a little confused.
Mhm.
And I read this sentence, the second sentence, I couldn't tell you the number of times, and I'm completely confused by the last half of it. It says, if the zone change application and master plan are submitted without the site plan application, the master plan approval is valid for 36 days and 36 months and shall expire along with the SDD zone designation, comma. If a site plan is not submitted within 36 months and approved within the statutory time limit allowed for the site, I'm not sure.
I think you're reading the wrong
No,
iteration.
that's the one that I got.
That's the one you got today?
That's the one,
Oh,
yeah.
what today, okay.
It just, not the one today.
Yeah, I can't follow where you're reading.
It's 5.60.3.
That was the original one that you
All
have.
right, hold on. I got too many papers here.
The one that was on the desk and the one we received today is the one we're looking at.
Right.
So,
So the one that you're reading, and I agree with you because I remember talking with Don about that and we fixed it. So,
It's
and
still-
you are,
it's
and you
still
are
there.
talking about 5.60.3D.
right,
Yeah, so
and that is, if a site plan is submitted, is not submitted, it's the exact same thing. It's the one, I printed it yesterday, and it's the exact same thing. It's just that last piece doesn't make sense to me. You're saying you need to give us a site plan within 36 months.
mhm.
And then it says, if a site plan is not submitted within 36 months and approved, how can we approve something if we don't have the site plan? I'm
So-
confused.
So the point of this is the the applicant has this master plan,
Mhm.
and they have a really pretty good idea of what they want to build. But then they need to do they may need to find the actual tenant and/or they need to do the engineering. So the whole point of the master plan is so they could kind of come in and get some confidence from this commission that they could build what they want without spending all the money for all of the engineering up front.
Mhm.
So this way, they get the master plan approved, they get the uses approved, they get the, the Vulcan area and the densities all approved. And then they come in with the new tenants, whoever they may be, and with a site plan for that element or that section or that parcel within the overall master plan. So what it's saying is like, so you like it, you're gonna approve the concept plan, the master plan. Now, they don't have all of the engineering and the site plan drawings yet, but within the next 36 months, they need to submit those site plans. There is a provision later on in this that will actually allow some sort of an extension.
I
So-
did see that, but
Yeah.
that, it just, it doesn't read well, I'm guessing. I just, from my point is, it's kind of confusing. First you're saying you have to have that site plan within 36 months, and then if the site plan is not submitted within 36 months and approved within the statutory time limit for the site, it's like, it's not, it's
I
not,
see what you're
Yeah,
saying, so.
it does not read well.
right.
It doesn't read well, but you get the point
I
that,
understand
okay,
what
you understand the point, okay.
But in
But you need it
our
clarified.
classes that I took that whole,
Yeah.
that on Saturday, every turn, yeah, I did, I was good.
I was there too.
I was there all day.
They kept stressing, make sure that it was very clear.
Yep,
And this
yep.
isn't clear to me, so I think that needs to be rewritten.
Okay.
That's just me. Christian?
Yeah, just, well, on that, I agree with you, and I think if I can just propose something which I think maybe clarifies it, because I think it's the phrases in the combos.
Yeah,
So, if the zone change application master plan are submitted without the site plan application, master plan approval and SDD zone designation are valid for 36 months and shall expire if a plan is not submitted.
Yeah.
I think that would be the cleaner way to do it, just,
Yeah.
and these two things will expire at
yeah,
the same
it
time.
just didn't, it just doesn't sit.
Yeah, I
It needs to
agree.
be
And actually, I
clarified,
think
that's
I
all.
had reworded it elsewhere on another
All right,
sheet of mine,
it's
so.
okay.
Yep.
And because, you know,
So you're clear on the concept of this though,
right,
and, okay,
Yeah,
so.
and I certainly agree with that concept, no
yeah,
issue with that.
So you could either get a concept plan that shows you what might happen, but you'll have an idea, you will know what uses are going to be proposed and densities and heights and all of those things will all be set within that. And you'll have a plan that you could look at and say, okay, it could look like this.
right.
But realizing that you're not gonna have the elevation drawings and you're not gonna have the exact location of a building or the parking areas because the new tenant, whoever purchases that area to develop, might want it differently.
Which will be another step that they have to come before us.
Every
Right.
time they build a portion is a new
Site plan,
special permit,
Yeah.
is from what I've read here.
right?
Now, the only other thing, Christian,
But I think the uses can't really deviate, I think. or-
No.
you know.
No, well, remember, this is a special development district and it will allow all uses with the exception of industrial 2 and heavy industrial. So this will include residential, it will include mixed use, it will include
Business.
commercial. So it's not going to be in the industrial.
So Lord, if I may, this language is in place when we went through that Felician Sisters. We spent a lot of time on that. It would have been a little bit easier.
It would have been, Carl saw this, he was like, really?
Yeah.
You couldn't have done this 2 years or 3 years ago?
Yeah. So it's a good thing in that aspect.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, and just again, because I need to keep reading it and reading it.
No, that's good.
Yes.
That's why and we need to reread it and read it and discuss it.
And going back to 5.60.1 criteria, A, IV, where it talks about recreational areas, I feel like it needs to really be stressed that, okay, you've got 5 acres and you want to build this whole conglomerate thing, which I'm seeing going to happen tomorrow, which probably will take 5-10 years to complete. But I just want to make sure that the recreational areas and landscaping is really understood by whoever the applicant is. And, you know, it may not just be this one area, it may be another area in town that they do this. But I just, because that concept that I saw, that the people who are buying them all I saw was the parking lot being rearranged and there was no amenities or open space. So I think that needs to really be stressed, especially when we have regulations for multifamily housing development is 1,000 square feet per unit. Well, if they said 450 apartments, that's 450,000 square feet. That's bigger than the mall in size-wise. So I think they have to come in with a concept that's really well thought out with that open space and amenities. They just can't come before us and go, yeah, here's your parking lot, and we're just gonna plunk some new buildings into it. I think that, because it's.
So, but, and that is part of it, is that you will know in that instance, for instance, you will know what their maximum density will be. It might be less, but they won't go anything over. They're gonna need to know pretty much for OSTA what their ultimate maximum traffic count is going to be.
Right.
And this is for any of these developments.
Any of these developments,
Right.
and that's a big concern,
Mhm.
because we're trying to plan not for our immediate future 5-10 years, 30 years from now. And when Christian, you know, he's an old man. When Christian's an
When
old
he
man.
has another new bike. A nicer bike, right?
Yeah, but
He has gray hair, that's when he has a motor on.
and the thing is, you know, I'm trying to see that in 30 years. We were all excited when the malls went in. We were like, that was the greatest thing since sliced bread, yay! And 40 years later, we got what we got, so. That's it for me so far.
I mean, I get what you're saying, and I agree, and I think the idea behind this, and maybe Lori can correct it, because I guess there's not too much in terms of like approving or denying, but like it's the master plan.
Right.
So like we kind of talked about this before, and that the whole point of the SDD is that we can look at the project beforehand, and we can more readily deny a master plan because it's a zone change.
Right.
So like to Commissioner Chairman DeGray's point, right? Like if an application came to us and said, hey, we want to build this SDD and this is what it looks like, and we're like, there's not enough open space for residential. I mean, could that be grounds for us either turning it down or like negotiating with them and being like, hey, like, we don't think this is enough, can you add more?
It's absolutely a negotiation.
Right.
It absolutely can be.
Because we can. If we
Right.
say that it's a
yeah.
requirement to have open space from my learning on Saturday, is if we say it's a requirement and we deny it, or that they didn't put the open space in, then that would be able to stand up in court if there was no negotiating on it. If they just said, oh, you denied us, we're gonna take it away. We could defend ourselves.
I guess I don't, like, I don't know how strict we want to get here, because like, I think it's very intentionally
It's
designed to
intentionally
be
vague
flexible, yeah.
and flexible.
So like, if we were to say like, oh, like, you have to have X amount of open space here, like, we're just, like, you have to have X amount of open space.
I think.
And then what else? You have to have X amount of this, and then
No.
you have to have X amount of this, and then we just end up with subdivision regulations,
Right.
which I think we're trying to
I'm
avoid.
just trying to make it so that we don't have, I'm just gonna use the mall as an example. They take down the mall, they put in more parking lot and just plant buildings on that sea of assets. If they're going to do something there, I wanna see, yeah, nice little shops, nice little restaurant. Yeah, we got one nice restaurant there. I mean, we could sit down and not drive through. There's only one restaurant that you can't just drive through. And apartments, because in a hotel or whatever their thing is, but I just don't want buildings placed, like buildings on top of hardtop. I want something I want to walk through.
So you're concerned about coverage.
Coverage.
So basically, setting a maximum building coverage is kind of what you're looking at, but it's gonna, unfortunately, I think, trying to keep it vague and giving detailed requirements is going to be counterproductive. So I think that's where the, I'm sorry, just
Yeah, no
one second, I think that's where this initial meet and greet with, the planning commission and planning and zoning commission and the applicant, that's where you're going to say, you know, we really like this concept, but what about this thing over here? And, you know, I really don't see a whole lot of green space or open space, or are you going to provide any amenity or recreational facilities? So or I love these recreational facilities, it's fantastic, and, you know, but, you know, maybe the configuration of these apartments over here, or I don't know
I
what.
don't know, but
Yeah.
I'm just
Or, you
thinking,
know, these houses that
Right.
you're proposing.
I'm just thinking that these are vague, and I understand the intention behind it. But I don't want seas of parking in, I've seen that. I've seen that in other states where it's just this big sea and the buildings are just planted around it. And I don't want Enfield to look like that. That's me.
My question on that would be, can't you take care of that with the site plan? We've got the vagueness, and we say, okay, we want some residential, we want some commercial. Maybe we'll have a small warehouse over here, because that's what you're saying with all this.
Yeah, exactly.
But then, when you have the site plan, would you not at that point be talking about, okay, how much distance do we need between the little
Well, at
warehouse
that
over
point,
here
then-
and a residential? And how much difference do we need between the retail and anything else you might?
So, and that might be part of the master plan and the Vulcan area and all of that, so.
But with the vagueness, with that master plan, then when you get the site plan, you say, whoa, here's what we need to do. You still can only have
Well, you can do
so
it
much
both ways.
coverage, so much of this, so much of that, but I think, would that not be, and only question, would that not be the place where you got into all your details and coverages and whatnot? And still be able to keep it vague, to be able to negotiate early on, before they draw it.
Well, that's
That's just-
the point, is they're supposed to come up with all of those Vulcan area requirements
Yeah.
up front.
And that's,
So you know it won't be beyond that, you know,
the master plan, conceptual plan, they should come in and at least show how they're gonna meet of the parking requirements.
In a preliminary.
Right,
Basic.
right,
I don't-
so that's what I'm saying.
I don't disagree with that.
And the site plan will give the details.
That's,
Right, the
That's
site
what I was
plan will
looking
give
for, is
the actual details.
you can't get the details in the master plan.
The preliminary.
They don't know.
The preliminary plan is almost like what you guys do with the applicants upstairs.
Well, exactly,
You know, that's a nice thing.
right.
It'd be-
So
More
it's,
of a rendering.
Right,
so,
yeah.
so basically, you can almost look at the master plan as the zoning regulations for that site. So,
And Lord,
I-
God,
and then those zoning regulations are gonna be transferred to the site plan.
and the purpose behind these types of districts, isn't it to repurpose buildings that are already there?
Well, that's the original
We're kind of-
STD that's very much what it was.
But it's still gonna include that though, right? We're still,
Yeah,
because that's what I'm,
this is more inclusive,
right, so it's still gonna take care of that repurposing.
Right.
So,
if
So-
that's part of it,
right,
yes,
so if somebody comes in with
yeah,
a site that they're repurposing and maybe adding to or whatever.
Yeah.
The existing structures are already there, so we're gonna have already know, we already have a picture of what's there,
that's right, yeah.
because it's there,
If,
kind of like the
Yeah.
Fletcher sisters.
Right.
But they,
Exactly.
right, so between the preliminary, informal, whatever you wanna call it, meeting, and then they have to come back for their application, then we can probably cover everything. But
I,
it's two steps.
yeah, I would entertain that before they come in to speak with the planning and zoning commission, they will probably have spoken with staff and sort of ARTs probably numerous times
Exactly.
before.
It's like another ART we're getting with us,
Yeah, exactly.
which is good.
Well, it is a public hearing. Anybody in the audience? Seeing
No.
none? I close the public hearing.
So-
Public participation.
I like
So we just kind of, because we keep tweaking it a little bit and we'll keep tweaking it and try to make it clearer. And we just kind of want to make sure that you guys were on board with this and that we're going in the right direction.
You know, repurposing old buildings is great for the community. You're getting them back on tax rolls at a higher value.
Absolutely.
And it's a win-win.
So we need a motion to table.
So do we need any motion to table this? Yes, yes.
Until
All right,
further
motion
notice.
Motion to
So
table
moved.
SDA. Okay, so, all right, all in
I'm sorry.
favor? Aye.
So that was Walter.
Walter and Terrence. Okay, we have no old new business is in your packet, was SPR 1881 2535 Bacon Road Extension Request.
So this is an application that was approved. I'm sorry. I'm working on two different ones, the applications right now. So yes, so when this was approved, 35 Bacon Road, it was during COVID. And then there was a lawsuit that was appealed, and then that ended, and they won that. And when the COVID happened, the state had all these public acts. So their actual application is good for 19 years. However, so the COVID automatically extended the extensions, but it did not include things within our conditions of approval. And our conditions of approval says that you have to get a building permit within 2 years, which is about to expire. So they're just asking for 5 years. They are working with a very possible good tenant. They believe that it will come to fruition, but it's just not there yet. And even once they finalize something, it might take a couple of years for everything to get moving. So they're just asking for a 5-year extension for the building permit, to get a building permit.
And all in favor? Say aye.
No,
Aye. All right.
Perfect.
Well, we need a motion.
Oh.
Nobody made a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, right. I need a motion, please, Mr. Secretary.
A motion to grant a 5-year extension to obtain a building permit for SPR number 1881 2535 Bacon Road Warehouse Distribution Facility Morgan Stanley Enterprises.
Second.
All right, and we all said aye, so. All right.
So the ayes still stand.
Okay, Commissioners' correspondence. I do have something, we really need to get a little bit better on attending workshops. Our workshop attendance, for various reasons, our workshops have been canceled. Last week, unfortunately, I couldn't make the workshop, and then there was other things, and life happens, I understand it, and people have emergencies and things that come up. But we really do have to, I can't stress how important this document is. And we really need to get it done and read both the changes along with comparing it to what we already have. So when you come to the meeting, you're completely prepared. And because we need a quorum every workshop to get this work done and.
Preferably more than a quorum.
Yeah,
Really?
because this is really important. You know, they had the public hearing for the charter. Well, this is just as important as the charter. And if not, you know, this affects more people than the charter does. I mean, charter is for the governmental portion. This is for the residents. So I can't stress how important it is for everybody to try really hard.
So remind me, so when is the next workshop?
Hold on.
Do we have a sense?
Yes.
We're going off that last calendar that was passed out,
It was a
right?
calendar that was
The
passed out.
last meeting, there was a calendar.
Right.
You're right.
Okay, you got it, Walter?
No, I probably have it, I'm just gonna.
All right, it's April 2nd. It's here in the Skidco room. It's,
Let's switch that, so I might add it right down like.
right, and.
6 o'clock?
6 o'clock. It's the 2nd, the 16th, and the 30th.
So 4/2, 4/16,
And 4:30.
4:30,
6 o'clock
here.
here in the Skidco room.
I'm not sure if we actually made
And then,
the second, but we'll double check that.
yeah,
I'm not here that day.
I think you got it circled on my paper.
Is that the one that came out last week?
Yeah,
I think that Don was kind of questioning whether, he said, put it on, but we'll see where we're at, so, oh, wait, I'm here on the second. I'm coming back on the first, so.
okay, so you'll be here. All right,
April Fools.
so. It's good, so, yeah.
Actually arrive at 12:01 on Wednesday, the second.
It was the 16th. What
The
time?
16th and the 30th.
Okay.
So, for those that did attend the Connecticut land use law training, it was good.
Yes, it was.
Actually, I was surprised. It felt like it went by really quick.
It went well,
It
it was
did.
well done, I think all of the
Yes,
presenters did a good job.
yes.
Nobody really put you to sleep, and,
Yeah.
and
No, the day didn't go by
and all the
fast.
presenters they got them set up for like 30 minutes or 40 minutes tops, so,
Yeah.
you know, it's not
Yeah.
a long-winded thing, so it goes
And then
well.
And then we got an hour of affordable housing training out of it.
There you go.
We're done.
Okay, so that piece is done.
But the lunch was like shortened by like 15 minutes. It's like, wait a second, I'm
The
glad I
good
left
thing
my
is you're in
computer
your
on.
own house eating.
So, and then they forgot the Zippler Awards, so maybe Dwight wasn't able to go on, and that's always funny, because it's like,
Yeah.
you know, the people that put funny hand gestures on houses to make other people
Yeah.
upset.
But it's actually, I think this is like the 4th one or 5th one that I've attended, and I
This is
always
like-
learned something.
This is probably like the 10th one or so that I've attended.
And
But I haven't been in many years, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this one. It was definitely worth it because it's a refresher,
Yeah.
and there's always something new in case law and public acts and things of that nature.
It was a
Very
lot of it.
informative.
It was a long day though.
Anything from, conservation and agriculture?
No, I have not been able to attend, so I apologize.
It's all right, no, just wondering what they were doing, so, anybody else have anything? Okay, Director of Planning?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
no, I just wanted to, just apologize for the disruption of me joining late. I totally blind missed the memo of the location. I apologize for the
I was like,
disruption. I'm walking
She's
upstairs,
up here,
I
I
went.
bet she's
I was
upstairs.
sitting upstairs for 15 minutes. I was chatting with that guy, he was like, oh, I'm here for the planning and zoning.
Oh. You're both in the wrong place.
Well,
It's the Christmas.
funny because I drove by here the other day and I saw the sign out front, the public hearing for the charter
Yeah.
revision. And I got home and I said, do I have to call to see where the hell we're meeting? And then I said, wait a minute, maybe it's on the agenda. Because I don't always look at the top of the agenda other than the date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I looked and I said, okay, I don't have to embarrass myself and call because I didn't read
I
it.
did finish my 7-7, they were like, right.
And kudos to the town for opening the door so we could come in.
Yes.
Are they open now?
Yes.
Doors are open
No,
now.
so the new policy, which I've only heard it by word of mouth, but, I believe that it is a policy,
Yes,
is that for meeting nights, the building's open.
right.
Not during the day.
No, that's right.
For meeting
Donna
nights.
sent us an email.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she heard it from the town manager's office.
Yes. So, okay, Director of Planning, you're on.
So, I don't know if you recall that there was this recycling facility going up into East Long Meadow.
Yes.
They had their public hearings, they approved it locally, it went to their deep. And, Frank Antonocci with USA Hauling was very concerned about a lot of the environmental issues and wrote a letter for that. And they have reopened the comment period for the DEP in Massachusetts. I just got the email this evening at like 6:30. So, I will send that out to you in case you'd like to comment or anything. I think, maybe if I could find it real quick. I think it ends on April 9th.
And isn't that the one that's gonna be on the rail line?
Yes,
They're looking for the railroad.
and it's
there.
at the headwaters of our rivers and our lakes.
Right.
So it was of concern, and so I was gonna send this off to Inland Wetlands and Conservation as well. So just wanted to make you aware of that.
Okay.
I am off tomorrow to go to National APA Conference. It's in Denver. I haven't been since COVID started, so I've been doing them virtually. But it should be a very interesting conference with what's happening federally and locally and nationally. And
Now,
just-
hopefully you won't have the snow and that they've been getting out there.
I don't mind snow.
No, well, I'm just saying.
It's so dry out there, so.
I know, it just.
The
it's
plane
snow-
bike buttons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when the landing strip, you know?
Yeah, so I've been watching the weather, it's supposed to be like 45 to 60 or
Yeah.
something, so anyway, so I will report back on any interesting trends and topics. And I think that's it for now.
No administrative approvals.
No,
We got a list of
that's your
applications to be
applications.
received.
So, yeah, I think these all came in after the agenda was created, so. SPR 1953, 242, 274, 284 Brainerd Road, application for a request to phase Brainerd Gardens construction into 2 phases. Robert Marinino, applicant, Dana Steele, representative, Washington Associates of Enfield LLC, and Anthony and Frank Triano and Joseph Petronella, owners, map 77, lot 68 and 67, map 62, lot 319, R44 zone. And PH 3119, 234 North Maple Street, application for a special use permit to allow an accessory apartment. Joseph and Daniela Bromley, applicant owner, Carl Lena, representative, map 81, lot 112, R44 zone. and PH 3120, 95 High Street. Application for a special use permit for live entertainment with liquor for Serapes Restaurant. Huberto Chavez, applicant, Brightside Plaza LLC, owner, map 25, lot 6, TD5 zone.
And a quick question. I thought we did something for Serapes.
We did, I thought it was for Cinco de Mayo.
That was for Cinco de
Just for
Mayo
the
only.
one-
Yeah, but it was just for
Okay,
Cinco
it's
de
just
Mayo.
Just a minute.
I have not actually read that, so I don't know whether they're looking for a blanket permit or just
Alright.
certain dates,
Yeah.
so I'm not sure yet.
Okay, I was just curious because I thought we did something.
Yeah, we did.
We did, yeah, it was
Alright.
for Cinco de Mayo.
Anyone getting old?
I guess there's also a question about the other one, the accessory apartments. They're not allowed, so they're coming before us. Accessory apartment?
They're allowed, but we just have very
We-
stringent
we-
regulations.
It's, the accessory apartments are in law. The terminology, I think is wrong, that's all.
Just wanted to be clear, thank you.
So we want to make Cinco de Mayo your law.
They make good terms.
Okay, and we have no opportunities or unresolved issues. We have no executive session.
Motion to adjourn.
Right, or
Second.
all in favor?
Right,
Aye.
And
All right, great.
at 8:36.